Hello and welcome to day 2 of WCS Challenger Europe. On today, the 28th of July, I'm Kevin van der Kooi, also known as Rotterdam, and with me is the one and only Johan Le Tot, Le Legend Merlo. Johan, how are you on this beautiful Tuesday?
I'm doing pretty good, excited for these games here. Actually, I already casted a bunch of StarCraft today, but this is definitely,
really? Yeah. How did it go?
It went pretty well. I casted the Chinese qualifier in the tournament, but this is the Premier League, man. This is where it matters the most, and only a few of these guys will advance on to Premier League, and we got quite a few interesting matches there today.
Yep, yesterday was, of course, the first day of WCS Challenger, and hopefully later today, Kalaris can join us a little bit as well, as he was part of the party yesterday, and we want him back here for our second day as well. Those were the results yesterday. I think some really good series. If you missed it, check out the VODs. I definitely recommend watching Showtime Naniwa. Red versus Hero Marine was great as well. And Mana versus Happy definitely had a lot of great moments. I'd say Marine Lord DMC and Snoot Zero were relatively one-sided series, but the other three, you want to check them out. And today, of course, it's the 28th of July. I'm going to have 5 more best of 5s. Tomorrow we'll close it out with 4 more. Today's also looking to be a very, very interesting day, Johan.
Yeah, like we said, like a lot of special matches, you know, starting with the team kill, ForGG picking his teammates, and even...
How did you feel about that?
Oh, man, I just felt the anger almost as if my teammate had picked me, and he would have been in a lot of trouble if he did.
This is a closer look to all 5 best of 5s that we will be having for you in store today. We're going to kick things off with the TvT that Johan just mentioned. ForGG versus Dayshi, both players on Team Millennium, and ForGG actually just, you know... He's like, ha, 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 I'm going to pick you because I'm like 20-0 against you. Ha, 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 ha.
And no, he said it's time to go 22-0.
Yeah, and Daishi's like,
actually,
wow.
23, I know, because he's best of 5.
I think the second match, Bunny versus Starbuck, obviously Bunny a big favorite going into that one. TLO versus Bly could potentially be a very interesting series. I know that TLO is good in ZVZ, but Bly, hashtag Bly on fire, Bly's a crazy player. We're going to talk more about these series later on. Of course, Lilbao, the runner-up of WCS Premier League Season 2. Going up against the Swedish Zerg, sort of, not to be underestimated. I definitely think that Lilbao has his work cut out for him. And we're going to close the day. And I'm already getting a smile on my face when I see that one. Look at that little guy. Look at that finish legend over there, Todd. Elfie, Pekka is going to go up against U-Thermal. U-Thermal definitely one of the hottest Terrans in Europe right now. But Elfie, a god among men.
Yeah, I don't think U-Thermal's smiling too much, because Elfie is definitely on the trickier side of players that you can get to play against. And in the past... he's definitely shown that even against some of the biggest names out there, he can play really well. He can really bring it no matter what, with some special builds prepared in a best of 5. So it's going to be cool to go into this match later on. But first, the team kill here. ForGG against Dayshi, 20-0 in map. So is that even possible?
I have no idea.
Is there anybody else in the StarCraft scene that has 20-0 against anybody except for me against you?
Oh, that's so funny, Johan. I was kind of waiting for it already. It would have been really funny if I didn't see it coming from miles away. But this is going to be the match for now. ForGG versus Dayshi. Like Todd just said, ForGG in official matches is 20-0 against Dayshi. 8-0 in series. Multiple best of 3s, couple best of 5s thrown in there. Absolutely unbelievable. Because Dayshi is not a pushover, especially Dayshi on a good day. I really always feel that he's been an extremely talented player, and we know that he's a little bit lazy and he's a little bit of a party boy, but Dayshi is a very talented StarCraft 2 player, and I just can't believe that he's actually 0-20. Like, we often talk about the mental aspect of StarCraft 2. Todd, how do you go into a series if you're 0-20 against the guy?
I think the best way to do it is tell yourself you have nothing to lose and just try and play your best, because I do think that, you know, like you just said, the mental aspect, when you're doing bad against somebody and you know that you're likely to do bad, you're probably going to do even worse than bad if you're thinking about the fact that you're not the favorite too much. And I think that's what happened in the past. I was there for some of these games. You know, ForGG, he came to like this big LAN tournament in France once, where obviously he was the Korean player, was the big favorite to win it, and in the end he did win it. And I think he met Dayshi like once or twice in it, and every time Dayshi just felt like as if he thought he had already lost before the game even started. So he almost, you know, it's almost as if he wasn't trying nearly as much. And then you have guys like Marine Lord, who 2 seasons ago really brought it to ForGG. So maybe this gives a little bit of inspiration to Dayshi here, who, I mean, even though he's not doing as well as Marine Lord, right now, he used to be the best French player, and especially even overall, maybe not just in terms of Terrence. So maybe he finds the inspiration in just looking at that match.
And I mean, ForGG, this is an interesting case as well, because when we were looking at the start of 2015, we kicked things off in WCS. We had definitely a new player pool. A lot of the Koreans that were playing in WCS North America or WCS Europe last season went back to Korea. We looked at 2015 and we said, well, ForGG, he's been here for a long time. You know, he lives there, has a girlfriend here, has his whole life here. He's going to keep on playing, and he will most likely end up winning one, maybe even 2 seasons, because he just won DreamHack Winter, one of the biggest tournaments of the year in 2014, towards the end of the year. So everyone is looking at ForGG like, okay, you know, he's my guy. He was the pick for a lot of people in Season 1. Didn't really follow it up. He made it to the semi-finals, I believe, where he was up against Paul, the player that he had a winning record or against as well. And then on a certain point, Paul cut some momentum and actually surprised ForGG, and Paul was able to advance. That was actually quarterfinals, because in the semi-finals, Paul did it, the same thing against Bunny. So everyone's like, well, okay, you know, losing against Paul, it can happen, but ForGG, he's my guy for Season 2. And Season 2 was actually a disaster for ForGG. Of course, making it into Premier League, making it into round of 16, a lot of people would be very happy for that. But a player like ForGG, if you win a big international tournament, in the grand final against someone like Live, you're not happy with a round of 16 performance.
Like he lost to Kung Fu Panda, and everybody's like, what?
I watched those games, Todd. I casted those games,
Yeah.
and I could not believe what I was watching. If you would have removed the name tag, I was like, there's no way that this is ForGG playing.
Who would it have been then? Nathanias?
Todd Starren.
Which beats you, actually, so be careful.
Beats my Terran, Todd, that's all. All right, we are ready to hop into the first series of the day. We are excited as well for a long day of StarCraft. Hopefully you guys will sing this one out with us. The first map is going to be played on Iron Fortress. And over here on the left bottom side of the map, we're looking at the main base of Millennium's Dayshi, the party boy. Handsome guy as well, Todd. I've always liked Dayshi. He's one of those guys that the very first time I ran into him at an offline event, just made a great impression on me. Very easygoing, very talkative. I think he's a great dude.
Oh, there's nobody ever that you have trouble with.
No, there's a couple there.
Okay.
Oh, especially this Todd guy. Can't stand it. Over here on the right top side of the map, we're looking at the man that is 20-0 against the other guy on the other side of the map. It is Millennium's ForGG. And he was a little bit surprised that a lot of people actually, you know, gave him a little bit of criticism for picking his teammate. He thought it was funny. He thought it was all in good fun. But I think, you know, if I look at it, obviously in the Korean leagues, the picking system is happening sometimes as well. And they avoid it most of the time. Every now and then you'll see maybe 2 players ending up in the same group. He didn't think he was going to get a whole lot of, you know, crap for it, so to speak. But I think maybe ForGG underestimates what making it into Premier League means for a player like Dayshi. If you look at the amount of money, for instance, that ForGG has won in his career, you know, 2,000 more or less is obviously everyone wants to have $2,000, Todd. No one's going to say no to it, but it's not going to make or break his year. But for Dayshi, if he would have a round of 16 performance, you know, that really has a huge impact on his entire year of StarCraft 2.
Yeah, I do think so as well. And it's going to be nice to, again, follow these stories, these games here. Dayshi, if he can open up here with the first map win, maybe he can unleash the beast and even take the victory in the whole series. On O Gaming, actually, you know, there is a lot of French players that qualified, or that are in Challenger. I think it's 5 of them in total. And on O Gaming, they made this one preview where they interviewed like most of the players and they asked them how do they, like, why did they pick their opponent, if they picked him, or what do they think about them, and then what do they think the other French players are going to be able to do. And it's funny because they almost all answer the same thing about their opponents. I picked him because he's the worst guy that I could have picked. Lilbo said that. He said he's the plus mauvais, it's like the worst guy that I could have picked. Literally, like bland answer, clear. And when all of them were asked about the performance of the other Frenchies, they all said that Dayshi they thought was going to lose. And then the last one was going to be Dayshi's interview, and then there's no interview. I guess he didn't answer to it. So maybe not super confident himself, or maybe they couldn't reach him. I don't know.
He's like, I don't want to be a part of this. He's like, stick it to yourself. ForGG opened up with gas first on the right top side of the map, so he had a very quick factory. He's still going to open up with a Reaper, and that's a little bit surprising. Most of the time when they open up with a factory at 3 minutes and 4 seconds, you know, pretty much the quickest factory that a Terran can get, they won't open up with the Reaper. Maybe this is a new style that's been getting a little bit of attention, as he's going to follow it up with a Hellion as well. Dayshi on the other end is just going to open up with 2 Reapers for now. His factory is going to be a little bit later, but he's going to have much quicker access to this command center. That is built on the high ground though, Todd, and I think that's always smart whenever you play against an aggressive Terran like ForGG is in this matchup.
I feel like Dayshi is a guy who can surprise almost any time that he's playing. You know, remember at Home Story Cup when he played against Bomber, it's like, hey, the god of TvT, how is Dayshi ever going to win? And then he beats him.
And it wasn't just that he beat him, like Dayshi the night before, he had a couple drinks, you know, he was just having a good time at Home Story Cup, like most players always do. Well, Bomber went to bed at 7 p.m. and then Dayshi showed up and actually made it to the semifinals of Home Story Cup. So I do agree with you, and I also think if Dayshi, oh, okay, this is nice, he should be able to get a first Reaper kill over here, Todd, for absolutely nothing. Very nice, because this is actually going to weaken the push quite a bit from ForGG. I'm not sure if Dayshi has put all the pieces in the right place yet, but this is going to make his life so much easier. ForGG losing that Reaper is pretty damn big.
2 Hellions already there for ForGG and a Reaper. Dayshi needs his Hellions badly. He needs a Marine as well from the barracks. Ideally, but he's not making any.
Hello. These little glitters whenever a unit dies is kind of funny. Of course, celebrating the 5-year anniversary of StarCraft 2. I didn't know it yesterday, but I've read the forums. These Hellions and Reapers are getting quite a few SCV kills, but I don't... Well, 7. I want to say I don't think it's detrimental amounts of damage.
This is massive, man. 16 walkers to 24, 4GG, 6 minutes in. He doesn't just want to be 23-0 in maps. He wanna wins the series in 15 minutes.
But you have to remember that Dayshi does have that much quicker second base, so he will be able to drop 2 Mews at a time. Obviously, he is being outmined now, but if you take a look at the income tab, it's not too bad. You know, Dayshi's kind of hanging in there, mining the same amount of gas. Sometimes he even peaks higher because of the amount of Mews that he's dropping. So I don't think it's that bad. He spots the Banshee in the middle of the map, and I think that's very, very important. He has a Viking as follow-up as well. The problem is that he doesn't have an eBay yet, so I think these Banshees could potentially do a lot of damage. His cloak is about to finish up.
There is no scan available as well, and there is not going to be for quite a bit of time here. The eBay is about to finish. Dayshi is trying to do some damage himself, but going to be defended here by ForGG. The 4th alien comes out, and Dayshi is going to get chased away, it's shut down, and at the same time, he's going to start taking damage here from that Banshee.
Yep, and this is not going to quit for quite a while, because most of the time a single scan is not even going to be enough. This one scan is not going to kill this Banshee. ForGG moving it outside of the radiance of the scan. Second scan goes down. Viking should be able to get it now, though. So at least he saved up the energy, but once more will bleed out a couple workers. Has lost a grand total of 12 SCVs so far in this game. And also has to worry about these Hellions now, Todd. He doesn't really have a whole lot on the ground.
Yeah, he's getting a tank here right now, but with his units being so low, the Helion's going to get chased away. The Viking landed. 4GG going all the way around. He's going straight for the middle line once again. 5 more SCVs were just killed not too long ago, and more are going to die. Does this ever end?
And well, at least they will get the surround off eventually, but 16 SCVs went down throughout the entirety of this game. 30 workers right now for ForGG, and of course his second orbital command is about to finish up as well, so no more Mew advantage for Dayshi.
4GG is like an absolute demon, man, in this matchup. Just gets in your base and kills stuff all the time. If I was Terran, I'd just open Widow Mine and like do a minefield around my base. Come on in.
and let's not forget that Dayshi even had a pretty damn good start in picking off one of the 2 Reapers that didn't do anything, and he didn't even take any damage on his unit.
Yeah.
Imagine if that Reaper would have stayed alive as well, then it would have probably just never ended. And 4G could have straight up win the game with his first 3 Reapers and 2 Hellions.
And 4GG in classic 4GG fashion, they are double factory, getting Blue Flame, making a lot of Hellions here. He's gonna want to look to go for an attack. I guess that's something like usually 4GG, you know, not necessarily just against Zerg, but even I guess particularly in TvT, he gets a lot of Hellions, more so than any other player. Sometimes he doesn't even stop ever. He just gets like 14 and then attacks.
Well, what do you do right now, Todd, if you're Dayshi in this matchup? I think TvT is always kind of difficult to play from behind, especially if you don't have a whole lot to work with yet. If it's 150 supply against 170, 180, there's definitely a lot of wiggle room to go for some big drops here and there to try to outmaneuver your opponent. But when you're working with so few units, it's very hard to truly commit to anything. Dayshi is going to try, though, as we see these 2 medevacs flying on the north side of the map. 4GG has not spotted this yet, but he does have the Raven, he has the Banshee over here as well, he has a Viking. So I actually think Dayshi has to be very careful with how he wants to go about this.
Dayshi's base is really sad, by the way. He only had 1 more barracks. He didn't even have money for 2.
There's going to be a drop as well on the other side of the map, but let's take a look at this tank drop that's going to go down in the back of the natural. The biggest problem is that the Banshee should eventually be able to clean this up. There was a Raven in the mix with Dayshi as well. Dayshi is definitely getting some work done over here, but These blue
He's
flame
losing
aliens.
so many.
Oh my god.
17 died against just the 4 that he killed himself. He's going to siege a tank back at home to try and defend against this. The Medivac already died, so ForGG can only just try and escape on the ground here. And GG is going to be called ForGG 21-0 in maps now against Dayshi.
Yep, and it was in a pretty decisive fashion over here as well. Killed 19 more SCVs. On top of the 16 he already killed, he killed 35 SCVs in an 11-minute game. That's not a good ratio, Todd.
Yeah, that's a lot of SCV death in a very short span of time there. And Dayshi, after a game like this, I don't know what his game plan was going into this and how much practice he got, but this has to be devastating there. He needs to somehow, I guess, stay in this and keep on trying to execute the builds that he thinks are going to be best against ForGG. But I guess build otherwise, he probably wasn't really helped. Like, he wanted to go for a quick CC. It's almost as if he had hoped that there wouldn't be any initial aggression, and then he was going to be ready for, like, you know, the later one that was going to come. But how many Terrans can you say go into somebody's base with 2 Hellions and 1 Reaper like this? Not too many tried that stuff, and in the end, it just felt like Dayshi got caught off guard completely here in this game.
Yeah, and we should not forget once more that Dayshi actually caught a pretty big break early on by picking off one of these Reapers, trapping it in the corner of his natural. So that should have made the push a lot weaker from ForGG, but it was still apparently strong enough to kill both Reapers of Dayshi and then also 6-7 SUVs, which was just a setup for that Cloak Banshee, what was going to be the follow-up. And that one really hurt. 2 scans burned, 4 or 5 additional SUVs going down, and from that point it was kind of the beginning of the end. Second map is going to be played on Cactus Valley. It's another 4-player map. Maybe Dayshi can... Well, Todd, what can Dayshi hope for over here?
Like I said, I think he needs to open very defensive and really hope to, you know, catch ForGG in terms of defense off guard. Maybe, I don't know, like just like open one base for a short time and get the same thing that ForGG is doing, you know, like the classic Hellions, a few Marines, and then maybe straight into a Raven and kind of sit back at home and wait for ForGG to go for his aggression, shut it down, pull a little bit ahead in army, and then from there, you can just keep on expanding, stay alive in the game, basically, up until the point you have enough tanks to go for your own push and then try and make it work. But ForGG is just so good at every single aspect of the matchup that even if you do that, he's going to have enough units back at home to defend most of the time.
I still think, like, if Dayshi can get some serious momentum going, you know, you snipe a medevac full of 6 Marines and a Hellion, maybe early game. Let's hope that ForGG messes up in one way or the other. Dayshi catches a little bit of a break. If Dayshi suddenly ends up winning a game against ForGG for the first time ever, that should be such a great momentum boost as well. It should be so much of a confidence booster for him. So that I truly feel that what we need to hope for if we want to have a close, exciting StarCraft 2 series over here is that Dayshi gets a little bit lucky and then suddenly, you know, finally gets that breakthrough, gets over that mental burden that's probably on his shoulders now of being 0-21 against this guy in competitive StarCraft 2 matches. Looking at the main base of Millennium's ForGG, that has to be the longest winning streak currently in pro gaming StarCraft. So over here on the right top side of the map, we've got his teammate, Millennium's Dayshi. Did you speak with Dayshi after ForGG picked him?
No. I can only
You can only imagine.
I can only guess he probably wasn't very happy. And Gas First is going to be used here by ForGG. Not really surprised, I mean. Definitely one of the best players to be able to pull this kind of build off. Same thing for Dayshi going down.
This might actually not be too bad. There's a good chance often when it's gas first against gas first, both players going very aggressive, that medevacs may even pass each other, and then you both end up doing a lot of damage to the other player's economy. And maybe when things get a little crazy, maybe when things get a little hectic, Dayshi can you know, get something done. Of course, in the end of the day, you know, we just hope that the best player wins, and I don't really have a personal preference, but I just kind of feel for the guy being 0-21.
Yeah.
So I really hope he can at least take a map over here, and in the end, may the best player make it to WCS Premier League Season 3, as ForGG is probably very, very eager to fix what went wrong in Season 2. Because I'm actually surprised that a lot of people didn't really highlight that more. I guess it was just such a spectacular weekend where, you know, Bunny had another great run, Liu Bao made it to the final, so kind of all eyes went on that. And the fact that ForGG just kind of bombed out in the round of 16 kind of went unspoken about, or you know, people didn't really mention it a whole lot, but that was one of the biggest upsets, if you ask me. Like, I thought he was going to win his group, maybe, because, I mean, it was a very tough group with Hydra, Bunny, and Gong Fu Banda. But just, like, losing as first player, losing twice, 2 best threes in a row, and just being done in Canada like that,
Do you think Kung Fu Panda beating ForGG was even more of an upset than Dog beating Innovation at BlizzCon a while back?
I mean, now
Probably
yeah. it's like almost at the same scale. Like obviously it's different settings. BlizzCon is the biggest tournament at the end of the year, and Dog being a Protoss that got there because he was playing in WCS Europe in the past, and otherwise he probably wouldn't have made it. So it was definitely a really big upset. But I will never forget that our good old friend Paul Red Eye actually predicted Dog to win Innovation, and we all made fun of him, and then he was right. He's the only man in the world that believed that Dog was going to beat Innovation, Todd.
That's why he's the man.
That's why he's a legend. ForGG is going to hop into the main base of Dayshi. Over here is going to find out that the starport is going down. Timing's pretty identical. The Reaper should win this little skirmish against the Marine. I'm not sure why he didn't continue that. He should have been able to set himself up there for an easy kill.
He was afraid the Hellion would come out and kill him. I guess he's going to do a similar attack to the previous game, but this time just the one Hellion, I think, in the starts. Dayshi
has to be very careful.
He can wall off behind his Hellion if he's fast.
I mean, he doesn't. I don't think he wants to necessarily do that. Like, he should be fine as soon as he buys a little bit of time for himself.
Should he?
Oh my God. Well, I take it all back, Todd. The Hellion is going to die immediately over here for
5
Dayshi.
minutes in.
Oh my God. Oh, 3 SCVs killed. Did ForGG lose a single game? No. ForGG wins game number 2 on Cactus Valley without losing a single unit.
Not going well for my fellow Frenchman. I feel for him right now. I have to say, he's had a few periods of like a little bit of inactivity, where he was playing a lot of Heroes of the Storm. Even played a pretty big tournament in France in the Heroes of the Storm tournament rather than StarCraft 2. But then he kind of came back to StarCraft 2 for a short while. And at Home Story Cup, actually, Tech invited Dayshi.
And he played great, man.
Yeah, Tech always invites his friends. And stuff. I was like, why did you invite Dayshi? He's terrible. But then Dayshi came in and played some pretty good games.
Yep,
beat Harstem. So I thought really, like, he's coming back, he's on form, but so far he's not looked very good against ForGG here.
But I mean, like, just looking at this second game as well. The first game, you could describe it as a regular TvT. Sometimes, things just don't go your way. You take a little bit too much damage from the opening. But this second game on Cactus Valley, he goes for a single Reaper, then he goes into a Hellion. He sends the Hellion out, while it already eats a couple of shots from the Hellion and the Reaper. It's like, Dayshi, why are you sending your Hellion out
I really
right
liked
now?
he should be all right.
Well,
10 seconds later, literally. I hope there is a highlight of this somewhere. He should be all right.
You're tempting the internet right now, Todd.
10 seconds later, he types out.
Oh, Todd. I've got a couple great Todd calls as well up in my book. No worry. I've got them bookmarked in my browser.
Sure. Anytime.
No, I just kind of thought he was producing more Hellions. I completely missed the fact that there was only a single additional Hellion on the way. So I thought if Dayshi was going to get 2 more Hellions behind this first one, I thought he's going to be all right. But
yeah. Dayshi, just before the start of the last game, by the way, he tweeted 321 isn't too bad either. So he thought he was going to win the 3 next maps. Yeah.
Make it 3 and 22 to Dayshi.
After this game.
We are ready when the players are. Our next map is going to be played on Coda. I'm trying to spin this in a way of thinking, like, what should Dayshi do? But I think
how viable do you think it is? It's probably going to sound ridiculous, but how viable do you think it is to open Widow Mines with at least 2 Widow Mines in TvT? If you're playing against a guy that's running you over every game, just get 2 Widow Mines. Plant them there and come on in. Let him attack you.
I mean, if he just gets
blow his stuff up.
If he just gets a few Marines, let's say if he goes gas first and he goes Marines and Hellions, then he should easily have enough units to deal with 2 Reapers and 2 Hellions, because you're going to get your own Hellion production, you're going to get a few Marines that stand on top of the ramp.
Yeah,
and
but
as long as they're
not playing passive and he lost.
Well, we'll never know. I don't think that ForGG plays passive a whole lot in his TvT career, and I think that's why my good old friend Nathanius loves watching him so much, as Nathan is probably one of the biggest ForGG fanboys in the world. We are ready to go ahead and hop into Coda for game number 3 of our first best of 5 of the day, which, well, Dayshi describes himself as not the luckiest man so far in the world.
I think referring to the build orders, which I don't think have been in his favor too much.
True, but I guess whenever you play build orders that will die against 2 Reapers and 2 Hellions, you may want to second guess your build order a little bit.
Yeah.
Over here on the left top side, we're looking at the main base of Dayshi, hoping to at least break this downward spiral that he's in against ForGG. As ForGG, of course, the red Terran spotting on the right bottom side, also representing Team Millennium, trying to redeem himself for that pretty underwhelming Season 2 performance. And once again, a lot of people would be satisfied with a round of 16. You know, making it into Canada. It's a great stepping stone for a lot of players. But ForGG, he's a tournament winning player. You know, he's won a DreamHack Winter in 2014 against some of the best players in the world, against Live in the final.
He hasn't won too many tournaments, but usually he's supposed to go really far, say like top 8 to top 4 no matter what. So the time he struggles and loses in round of 16, unless he's you know, losing to Port then, but or like you know, some crazy Korean players, then I wouldn't be surprised. But you know, again, the loss to Kung Fu Panda, as good as it was by Kung Fu Panda, just was pretty disappointing by ForGG. Even build order-wise, you know, what we saw back then was a little bit surprising. You know, he was trying like special stuff when really he should have been playing straight up macro.
Yeah, on Coda he went for a tank push, and then on the second map, which was Iron Fortress, he just marched across the map with 3 Rex aggression, and he didn't have any anti-air. And then Kung Fu Banda's like, cool, I'm gonna make a single Oracle.
I never understood when Terrence did that. Like this one time MVP made a tank push against me, and I was like, well, thank you.
This is going to be my moment. I am immortalized right now. You saw what I did there?
Why.
Immortalized, making immortal against the tank push though.
Well done.
And well done, eh? As the scout is going to go down for GCs, that Dayshi has his refinery up and running, and it's going to be a Reaper opening over here for both players. Might see some triple Reaper action, or at least double Reaper. I mean, if you're ForGG right now, never change the winning team. I would probably just make 2 Reapers and 2 Hellions again and see how well it goes. Do you think that previous game, Todd, do you think that was one of the shortest games? He tweeted again. Before this game, Dayshi tweeted out once more, don't worry guys, it's going to be 3-22. As currently he's on a 0-22 loss streak against ForGG. But still believes that he can win the next 3 maps in a row. I want to ask you, Todd.
Yes?
Well,
You forgot?
before you showed me, damn it.
You forgot?
Yeah, you distracted me. What was I
Sorry.
talking about? Help me. Freshen up the memory of
ForGG
you.
Dayshi, yeah. Like some builds, some strats. It doesn't matter.
No, it's probably not very important.
Look at this, ForGG gonna go on the aggression here once again with the 3rd Reaper in production. Dayshi's waiting though, with the 1 Reaper and the 2 Marines that he's getting.
I love how ForGG is going to bring the SCV as well. The SCV can soak up 1 or 2 shots while the Reapers. This time he does drop the supply depot, Todd. Kind of what you mentioned that he perhaps should have done on Cactus Valley to keep that Hellion away. And those Reapers, well, the Reapers could have still hopped into the main base. Still, so far, ForGG getting some work done over here. He's getting his 2nd SCV kill already. He's still cruising around over here in the main base. Would love to kill this Reaper of Dayshi. Oh my god, Dayshi, be careful. I think the Marines were misread there a little bit. Good micro on both sides, actually. Dayshi keeping his
Where's
Reaper
the factory
alive.
going? Turn around. That's the wrong way. It's going to be landing that. What? He went on the wrong way 2 times in the factory.
Dayshi perhaps being a little bit distracted. Oh, this could be very good, though. He should be able to get a couple of Reapers over here. Gets the first one. Ooh, he's going to set the chase. Look at this guy, Todd. He's the Lone Ranger. He believes. And this is very nice. Dayshi made it through the first 6 minutes of the game without really being too far behind. He ended up losing, I believe, 2 SCVs.
Yeah, which is still,
still
something.
But he has a much well, no. I mean, he has a slightly quicker orbital.
He has 19 SCVs against 24.
Yeah.
At minute 6, Roddy. I know you want to be positive about this, but it's he's gonna need to put in some work with his Cloak Banshee. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, but I mean, look at the army supply right now. Obviously, it's not a massive tell, but he's slightly up. He has a few more units to work with because of his build order, because of the way he went at it, because he didn't go double Reaper like ForGG did. So there is a chance. I actually want to ask you, do you think the previous game is the shortest game we ever saw in WCS? I don't think. I guess
Quite possibly, yeah.
There has maybe been like a 6 pool or an 8 pool against Nexus first, no scout. But
Yeah, that was pretty fast.
yeah, it was very, very fast.
Even though some people thought he was going to be fine.
Thank you, Todd. Just keep on hammering it down, Johan.
Both players going for Cloak Banshee. Yeah, it's like I thought. The funny thing here was going to be that ForGG was going to be realizing that he had an earlier natural, and that it was going to be Cloak Banshee by Dayshi, and he was going to go for Raven. But he didn't. He's going for Cloak Banshee himself. So the Banshee of Dayshi is actually going to get there much faster. And okay, that Reaper is going to get shut down. But behind this, there is a lot of potential for that Banshee to do damage there. There is no scan available, I think. He's about to have one at the natural there.
There's actually not a whole lot of anti-air over here for ForGG now. I just realized it. I mean, he has a couple of Marines.
Did he empty the bunker? I guess I think
Yes.
the Wolof is going to help, but
Because he needs more than 4 Marines. If it was just 4 Marines, he was just not going to have enough. Like you said, no energy for his scan. Daishi's throwing in some serious... Oh, man.
Yeah, but Dayshi has no eBay.
I was actually starting to get very excited because I really thought that Banshee was going to do so much. But a single scan picked it up immediately. ForGG is definitely not going to make the same mistake. A single scan is not going to kill the Banshee of ForGG over here. Is there a second scan available?
Yeah, Daishi's trying to get a Raven. The eBay never finished. He's going to try and finish that now.
Oh, God.
Widow mines, man.
This is not
If
going
you made Widow mines.
and put it in a very random spot.
Everywhere.
Oh, the Banshee of ForGG doing so much more damage than the Banshee of Dayshi did. Dayshi really had a lot of potential with his Banshee to do quite some work as well. Because ForGG's eBay, like you mentioned, Todd, wasn't even ready yet. It was going to take forever before missile turrets were going up.
Oh, he's going to get a tank though. Dayshi, very nicely done. There's still one more, but the turrets, he's now up in both the main and natural middle line. 16 SCVs have died, 17 now.
Oh, man. I'm afraid that this is really going to spiral out of control as well. There is one more scan available, but I don't think it's going to actually kill the one Banshee that still has a lot of energy.
Dayshi cancelled his Raven earlier to get that Viking, so he has to restart that Raven now. And I mean, those Hellions, they are cool, but they can't get into the natural.
I think this game is pretty much over, Todd. Like, yeah, Dayshi killed a tank, that's great, but it doesn't really matter that much when 4G is up 18, 19 workers already into a 10-minute game. And I mean, I love Dayshi, but he just kind of dropped the ball there a little bit on losing that first Banshee. Having that Banshee idle above 7, 8, 9 Marines, you know if the scan goes down, you're going to lose it immediately. And that's the last thing. You know, TvT is very fragile early game. One scan can make the difference between killing the unit or not. And if he then doesn't have energy, doesn't have missile turrets, the Banshee of Dayshi could have done the same amount of work as the Banshee that of ForGG. But he just kind of dropped the ball on it. And now 4G is in an absolutely phenomenal position. He's going to march across the map with 2 tanks against 0 tanks because he also picked up the tank of Dayshi. Dayshi does have a bunch of Hellions, but he's going to have to be very careful about how he wants to fight this. A couple of these Marines, I want to say, are a little bit clumped up, but in the end, I think the split is good enough, and I just don't know what Dayshi can do to defend over here.
Oh my god, he's going to lose that before the fight even begins. ForGG sieging there.
Oh my god.
He wants that 23-0. Dayshi's going to pull the SCVs and try for last time there.
Yeah, I just... Well, he might be able, but the thing is he doesn't have anything that shoots up. These Banshees just raining down so much damage on these Hellions for now. The tank is still alive on 4GG. There is a Viking to the rescue, but in the end it's not going to be enough. GG is called. 4GG qualifies for WCS Premier League Season 3 in very decisive fashion. Not a huge surprise when you go to the history between these two players. Whenever you're up 20-0 against your opponent, you're probably quite confident that you can take this best of 5 as well. But I didn't expect it to be as one-sided as it was. I really kind of expected Dayshi to finally break it, to at least get a map, maybe get a little bit of momentum, give 4GG a good run for its money. But I think Dayshi has the biggest mental block in history against 4GG.
And I'm a little bit... wondering actually how that team spirit is going to be affected by this. As good as he's doing against you, like you don't really expect, I feel, a teammate to pick you. So this definitely, for Dayshi, you know, it's, I guess it's the game, you know, it's as much as there is teams in StarCraft 2, it remains a 1 versus 1 for the most part format that's played in tournaments. And in the end, it was one-on-one here against 4GG and he lost. So he only got himself to blame. Well, could have done better for sure. Widow Mines, man. I want to play TvT against 4GG and just make Widow Mines everywhere.
I don't think you want to play for TvT against 4GG, Todd. I've seen you, Terran, and yes, you did defeat me in the TvT, but I think against 4GG it's a slightly different matchup, Johan. Either way, we're going to head over to a very small commercial break. After that, we'll be back with our second best of 5 of the day, which is going to be powered up Team Liquid. Hi, Bunny! Semi-finalist of Season 1 and quarter-finalist of season, no, actually semi-finalist of both seasons, made it to the semi-final Season 2 as well. That was a very impressive performance as he's one of the very first foreigners ever to make back-to-back semi-finals in WCS. He wants to be back in Premier League. He has a lot of WCS points as well, so it's a very big series for him. He's going to go up against Starbuck. We'll see what happens after the break.